Hey, what's up everybody? Gratuitous here. Welcome back to another tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be covering a term that I've coined over the years called safe spots. I've created a course on this. It goes way more in depth. In this tutorial, we're just going to kind of, cover it briefly. You're going to get enough information, but if you want more information, again, the course is called Safe Spots, Create Amazing Drum Loops. It's going to break all this stuff down way more in depth, give way more examples and stuff like that, okay? So over my years when I first started producing beats, I kind of found that it was hard to know where I could place my sounds within my drum loop. Okay, we're talking like on the one or like like halfway in, on like the offbeat. I didn't really know where I could place my sounds, and there was always some places where you could place your sounds, and it would always kind of sound good, but you didn't know where to place sounds, for fullness or for just to be creative, for variety and stuff like that. Okay, so in this tutorial, I'm going to break down safe spots and the whole idea behind what it is. So I've broken it down to there's like the on beat. Okay, now these are just my ways of explaining it. I've just made it really, really simple. I'm going to break down more of like the music theory here in a second in terms of like 16th notes, 4/4 time, quarter beats, and stuff like that. Okay, so we have the on beat, we have the off beat. Okay, and then we also have the in-betweens. Okay, so I'm just going to do this over here. So I'm going to call them in-betweens. And this is like the easiest way to understand it, because what happens with in FL Studio in the step sequencer, from every beat, these notes, these 16th notes, they just repeat from every beat. So as long as you know the on beat, the off beat, and the in-betweens, and just to finish off in between, so I also have like an A, and then we also have a B, okay? A is a bit trickier to work with, B is easier to work with, okay? I'll cover that more when we get further on, okay? So let's just draw a step sequence here, step sequencer here in FL Studio, okay? So for example, just look like this, okay? And I'll draw some squares in here. So this is just like FL Studio, okay? They have the four, squares here. It'll change color. We'll go to like a green. Now, each of these is actually what you call a 16th, okay? It's a 16th note. So let's just break down what, in music theory, how we producers kind of use music theory. Now, music theory can get really, really intense, but as a beat maker, you really don't have to understand it that intense. All you need to know is what's called common time, okay? So let's just kind of separate here. So you need to know common time. Okay, the reason why it's called common time is because it's so common that it's mainly used in our Western culture. Okay, and it's called 4/4 time. Okay, so 4/4, and it's written like this. And so the bottom one is what type of beat it is, and then the top beat is how many of those beats are in a bar. Okay. So for example, in 4/4 time, the bottom number is a quarter beat. Okay. And then the top number is just how many. So we need 4 quarter beats to create one bar, which is 4/4. Okay, so that is one bar. Okay, so when you hear a rapper say 16 bars, they're just talking 16 of these. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, I'm just going to kind of cover this quickly. So now each of these is actually a 16th. Okay, so a 16th, a 16th, a 16th. Now, if you count 2 of them, that is actually an 8th, okay? So this kind of looks like a little happy face. But again, now these two, again, an 8th, an 8th, an 8th, okay? And if we talk about swing is what, so swing adjusts your 8th notes, okay? So this is actually our in-betweens. So let me just talk about the on beat, the off beat, and the in-betweens. We'll get a different color for that, okay? We'll use a yellow. So your first note here, your 16th, is actually the on beat, okay? So this is like, I'll just write here, we'll go on beat, okay? Now, right here, I'll just draw over here now. This is your off beat, okay? This is typically really powerful for like a open hi-hat or something like that, especially like in dance music. It's just really good for fullness, is what you'll discover over the years. Now, what we have left is our in-betweens, okay, which is our A and our B. And as you can see right here, this repeats again and again. So again, this is the on beat. So right here, this one here is the off beat, and this is the A, and this is the B. Now, what I told you is that A is trickier, And then B is a little bit easier to work with. And this repeats every single beat over and over and over again. And that's just kind of my concept behind safe spots. I've written a book on this on Amazon, but I'll just repeat this one more time, okay? So this is your step sequencer inside of FL Studio. You have your on beat, you have your off beat, you have your A and your B. And again, it just repeats for every single beat. So on beat, off beat, A, B. And these are all the 16th, okay? They're all 16th notes. And if there was 16 of them, that would be one bar, which is what comes default in FL Studio. So in this case, we need 1, 2, 3, 4 to create a quarter beat, because all this stuff is just fractions. That's music. Music is actually math, like like the deep root of music. It's just math, okay? And that is what adds up into a beat, right? So we need 4 16ths. And, if you bring it to its lowest common denominator with math, that is a quarter beat, which is right here, okay? And we need 4 of these to create one bar. Now, before we hop into FL Studio, I just want to, let's just do this. I'm going to break down a concept of the organic tools that you have available to you in, within music production. It's not just FL Studio, it's any music production in general, okay? So this is what you call like sound placement. This is like where you place your sounds. And in all honesty, this is where the true creativity lies, is in your sound placement, okay? But to take your drum loops even further, you also have these organic tools, and I call them organic because they're totally free, okay? It doesn't matter what music program you're using. It's just a matter of having the knowledge to use these tools more in depth, okay? So these are things such as like velocity. So we have like velocity, we have like panning, we also have layering, okay? These are all extremely powerful tools. Layering, okay? In addition, we have like note nudging. So I'll just go like note nudge. And this is in addition with swing, okay? So swing is just automatically, and note nudging is manual. Again, your 8th notes is swing. Note nudging allows you to do this on any 16th note, okay? You can be very, very creative. So we have velocity, panning, layering, note nudging / swing. We also have sound placement. That is the safe spots here. That's to do with your on beat, off beat, and in betweens. So I'll just go placement. And we also have sound selection. So I'm just going to go sound and then selection, okay? Just to make it faster. Okay, so all these organic tools allow you to create amazing drum loops. It's just the knowledge that you have to acquire, how to use each of these, tools, these organic tools, how to use each one of them to make your drum loop, and really melodies, it all goes hand in hand. But by having the knowledge, it will allow you to make way better melodies and, all that kind of stuff. One thing I wanted to say before we hop into FL Studio is that your sound placement is kind of like, the root of where you want to go with that beat, like what kind of sound, what kind of flavor are you kind of going for, what kind of vibe, right? The sound selection is going to further enhance that vibe. So, think about like an 80s tune, for example. It's really known for like really cheesy kind of music, right? So in addition to that cheesy kind of music, first of all, it's their sound placement. It's where they're actually placing their sounds. And then to even push it further, it is their sound selection, okay? This even pushes it further. For example, think about like a Roland TR-808, a drum machine back in the 80s. That was like the classic sound, and that really helped push that emotion even further. So let's hop into FL Studio. I'm going to break down safe spots even further for you guys. Again, if you want more information on this, just check the link in the description. The course is called Safe Spots, Create Amazing Drum Loops. Okay, so hopping into FL Studio here, I have a bunch of different sounds. We're just kind of walk through each of them, just kind of build a quick little drum loop with you, okay? So I have a kick drum, we have a snare, we have 2 hi-hats. These are closed hats. We have an open hat, we have some cymbals, okay? So now what I was breaking down to you is the term called safe spots. Again, I created this concept because I always found it hard to understand where I could place my sounds within my drum loop for them to sound, good and in time. And the concept of safe spots just allows me to understand it, as well as when I educate, my students through courses or through lessons or whatever, I'm able to break this concept down a lot easier. So like I said, we have the on beat, okay? This is going to sound good no matter what because it's on beat. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to suit your song all the time. For example, a dance track is like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So one thing you can notice is that we have our 16th notes, okay? So each one of these is a 16th, okay? And again, we need 4 of them to create one beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that is one beat. Now we go to our second beat, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you'll notice, it just repeats. So for example, we have on beat, on beat, on beat, on beat, okay? We have the off beat, off beat, off beat, off beat. Now we have what's called the in-betweens. That's all that's left. And again, these are your 8th notes. This is what swing up here. This is what swing adjusts. In addition, now A is your trickier one. So I'll just go down here. So A is your trickier one. B is a lot easier to work with. Okay. And again, it just repeats for every single beat. It doesn't matter what beat you're on. And that's what I was saying was, as long as you understand, one beat where you can place your sounds. So for example, we have the on beat, the off beat, the A, and the B. So the on beat, like I'm saying, it's going to always work. It's on beat. But again, it can sometimes make your music sound a little bit rigid because it's like so perfect, right? And it doesn't mean that it's always going to suit your song, but it will always be in time because it's on beat. Now you have the off beat, okay, which is right here. And this is really powerful for like an open hat. Okay, so for example, we can put it like this. If we just put like our kick drum on the 1, 2, 3, and 4, and for example, our snare will just be on like the 2 and the 4. So the tempo's a little bit slower. I'm using more kind of urban hip hopish sounds. So, but if we're talking about like dance music, this is super, super common. Okay, so for example, okay, so that drum loop sounded really, really rigid. It didn't flow at all. But this is what people do to make, even if I take away the kick drum on here, it might sound a little bit better. Okay, that does sound a little bit better. But again, all the sounds at the moment, they're all the same volume. Again, when I talk to you about those organic tools, when we talk about velocity, layering, panning, and stuff like that, this is where you can kind of start being a little bit more creative, applying these techniques and making this drum loop bounce a little bit more, sound a little bit better to the ear, doesn't sound so static. Okay, so let's just build a little drum loop here. I'll walk you through, the safe spots concept and just kind of break down, some of these concepts just a little bit further, might make it a little bit easier to understand, okay? So when I first start off with my drum loop, when I place my snare, typically it is on the 2 and the 4. You can put it just on like the 3, but this is kind of like the basics, and this is commonly what's used within music, okay? Within like Western music with like the 4/4 common time and stuff like that. If you want to be creative, you can bend the rules, but let's just keep this simple, okay? So again, we're going to start with our snare drum on the 2 and the 4. And many times I do that even before I start working with a kick drum, okay? Now, when it comes to the kick drum, I typically do always start it on the 1. And now this is where you can kind of be creative with the kick drum, Now, again, if we reference back to the safe spots, the on beat, the off beat, and the in-betweens, this will give you a better reference of what's going to work and what's not going to work. Again, so we have the on beat, the off beat, the A, which is trickier to work with, and we have the B, which is a lot easier to work with, okay? So keeping that concept in the back of our mind. So I'm going to start on the 1. So let's just go like off beat here. We will go the B. So again, that's the in-between. So A and B, okay? And we'll just go like off beat, okay? So let's just listen to our kick drum. Okay, let's just add some swing in here, give a little bit more groove. We will get another kick drum just for a layer. Something that has this a little bit more low end. Okay, we'll just layer it up here. So we'll layer just like this. We're going to flip the phase there. Okay, it hits harder here. Flipping is very, very important when you are working with kick drums. And maybe with this layer, maybe we can add it in maybe on like the A. Okay, we're going to keep it there. Now, as you start to build this drum loop, as you start adding in more percussion elements, such as like hi-hats and stuff like that, it really gives your drum loop, that rhythm. And that's going to help give your structure a lot more clarity. Right now, when we're just listening to these drums and the snare, it's just kind of sounding like we don't know where it's going to go, okay? So if we just add in some hi-hats here, I'm just going to kind of click them in just like, I don't know. We're just going to listen to what we got, okay? So we'll add something in here, so. Okay, so now I can just layer up the other closed hat. We'll just kind of play that every once in a while, and we'll play it kind of where we haven't played opposite of the other closed hat. Maybe we'll do something like this. Okay, so now this open hat, let's just get a little bit of a longer open hat. Sometimes I like a really nice open hat. So let's just see what we got. Okay, see it's a little bit longer. This one here is a bit short sounding. Okay, this one sounds a little bit more, has more tail. Okay, so we'll work with that. Now I can just play this on like, the offbeat, maybe around here. So listen. Now, one thing to talk about is just repetition. So right now, this is just a 1-bar loop, okay? It has 4 beats or 16th notes. And it can just sound really, really repetitive, especially like that open hat, just always playing. Now, again, in context of the whole song, we don't know because we don't have melodies and stuff like that. You can always just take this out and play it, every once in a while or something like that. But when you heard it the first time, you heard it was just kind of like, oh yeah, doesn't sound bad. And then it repeats and it's kind of like, ooh, maybe that sounds repetitive. But again, we have to listen in context of the actual, song. Okay, so from here at the moment, so now to take this drum loop to like the next step, to go even further, you could be using these organic tools, things such as like velocity, layering, panning. So for example, in FL Studio, you just right click, go to like the piano roll, just hold down Control and right click, it'll make everything bigger. Or you can hold down Control, right click and hold and kind of get nice and zoomed in. Now, see, as you can see down here is the velocity. If you right click, you have different properties for that sound. So if you want to adjust panning on each sound or whatever, you can do that. And this is where you can really help that drum loop sound more natural, more organic, I guess you could say, in a sense that it just doesn't sound so rigid, because that is one of the problems with digital music when creating on a computer, is that everything is programmed perfectly and it will repeat perfectly forever. That's where you can start, just adjusting, and I'm talking just like, for example, if I'm going to click through here, many times it's just a matter of just a little difference like this. And this just really, really helps in a sense of just giving your actual track just a little bit more bounce and groove and stuff like that. If we're talking about like layering and stuff like that. So I'm going to go to snares. So let's just get a different snare here. This kit is by Exclusive Audio, just to let you guys know. I really, really like their sounds. But for example, we're just trying to turn on the volume, so we'll listen. So turn it up a little bit. And to be even more creative, sometimes what you can do is you can just layer an extra clap on the 4, and that just kind of spices up the loop a little bit. Sometimes you can even take, so for example, we have 3 snares here. I'm playing the second one on the second beat. I'm playing the third one on the 4th beat only. Sometimes you can do stuff like that. Let's just check out this extra layer. Okay, so before we go, I just want to give you guys a real world example of how, melodies would sound over top of this drum loop with the whole, safe spots theory concept. In addition, if you guys want to learn how to play the piano as a beat maker, I have a membership. It's only $10 a month. You guys can get access to all my courses. I have 19 courses at the moment. You guys can learn how to play piano, learn the Safe Spots course, only for $10 a month. So this is just a little pad. This preset pack is totally free. I've released tons and tons of preset packs here on YouTube. Just search, Silence One free preset pack gratuitous. I'll leave this one in the description below. We're going to go to preset. We're going to go to bank, we're going to go factory. And as you can see here, we have like momentum, endure, endeavor, persistence, pursuit, venture. These are all free. Okay. You guys can try them out. So right now I'm just on persistence. This is the very, very first sound. It's called pickled peppers. So I'm just going to hit play here. Let this drum loop go. Okay. So here we go. So. Okay, let's just try one more sound here. We'll let the drum loop go and see what it sounds like. Okay, so there you guys go. So that's just kind of a rough overview of the concept of safe spots. Again, I've written a book about this on Amazon. Okay, so just searching like Safe Spots by Riley Weller. That's like my author name. The course is called Safe Spots, Create Amazing Drum Loops. Again, my membership is just $10 a month. You guys can access all of my courses. I have 19 courses on there at the moment. You guys can learn about EQ, compression, learn how to actually play the piano from a beat maker's perspective. From a beat maker's perspective compared to a classical piano player, there's quite a few differences, and it's really important as a beat maker that you focus on, what's required to play the piano as a beat maker. You guys can take like the Safe Spots course, FL Studio beginner course, intermediate course. I have tons and tons of courses on there. Okay. So again, this is the concept of safe spots. Hopefully it inspires you, gives you a better insight to where you can place your sounds. Just one more time quickly. So go to a new pattern here. So again, we have the on beat, we have the off beat, we have the in-betweens left, and that's the A and the B. Okay. So I'm Gratuitous. Thanks so much for checking out the tutorial. If you guys want to stay up to date with me, you guys can sign up to my newsletter at itsgratuitous.com/newsletter. And in all honesty, $10 a month for the membership, great price, access all the courses. Hopefully I'll see you guys inside the membership. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.